ברוכים הבאים לפיגסקין כשר, הפודקאסט מספר 1 על פוטבול אמריקאי בישראל. אני יעקב עמר יחד עם השותף שלי אורן גרינמן, ואנחנו כאן לדבר איתכם על הדבר הכי כיף בעולם, פוטבול אמריקאי. בכל שבוע תמצאו אצלנו הקדמות למשחקים, סיכומים חמים והמון פנטזי פוטבול עם טיפים שיתנו לכם את היתרון ויעזרו לכם לנצח ליגות. וגם באוף סיזן אנחנו לא נחים, תמיד איתכם כל השנה. שלום חברים, ברוכים הבאים לעוד פרק של פיגסקין כשר. אנחנו היום בראיון עם כתב ESPN TERRON DAVENPORT. עוד מעט נגיע לראיון שלי איתו. TERRON DAVENPORT בעצם מכסה את הטנסי טייטנס במשך כבר הרבה שנים, ואני מאוד רציתי לדבר איתו, בעיקר בגלל הפנטזי פוטבול. רציתי לשמוע ממנו קצת על השחקנים שאנחנו אולי פחות שומעים עליהם. רציתי לשמוע על מקאם וורד, מה הוא חושב עליו, מה הוא רואה ממנו, מה הוא אוהב ממנו, מה הוא מצפה מהקבוצה ככלל, מההגנה השנה, מקאם וורד, מה הוא מצפה ממנו השנה. ואנחנו עוד מעט נגיע לראיון. לפני שאנחנו מגיעים לראיון, דרך אגב הראיון הולך להיות באנגלית כמובן, אם חשבתם שטורון דאבנפורט יודע עברית אז טעיתם בגדול. אז עוד מעט נגיע לראיון. לפני שאנחנו מגיעים לראיון, קודם כל תעשו לייק חברים לערוץ, תעקבו בטוויטר, תירשמו לערוץ. יש הרבה ערוצים שמבקשים כסף על כוס קפה, אני לא מבקש לא שקל מאף אחד, רק לייק, רק תעשו לייק לפרק ביוטיוב, בספוטיפיי, תעקבו אחרינו בכל הפלטפורמות, בטוויטר, ספוטיפיי, ביוטיוב. באמת הקהל שלנו של כושר פיגסקין כשר גדל כל יום, באמת אנשים כל יום ממשיכים להירשם לערוץ, וזה נפלא וזה מעולה. אנחנו צריכים להגיע לכל קהל האוהדי פוטבול בארץ, בין אם זה פנטסי בין אם זה רגיל. אם אתם אוהדי פנטסי אז באמת לא כדאי לכם לפספס את הערוץ הזה. אנחנו עושים הרבה פנטסי, בטוויטר גם מפרסמים שם הרבה מידע שיעזור לכם. הטוויטר שלנו מופיע פה למטה בסרטון, kosher_pigskin באנגלית. אז אל תפספסו כלום חברים, זה הזמן שלכם. בפתיחת העונה אנחנו נעשה גם giveaway, אז תחכו לעצמכם זמן, תתחילו לעשות לייקים ולעקוב אחרי כל הפלטפורמות. זהו חברים, בואו נגיע לראיון עם TERRON DAVENPORT, תהנו מהצפייה ויאללה ביי. Today we're joined by ESPN's very own TERRON DAVENPORT, who covers the Tennessee Titans as their beat reporter and also hosts the Talking with TD podcast, so go check that out for more information. He's one of the most respected voices when it comes to breaking down the Titans, the AFC South, and the NFL as a whole. We're excited to have him here with us to share his insights on the season and everything happening around the Titans. Thank you so much for being with us, and welcome to the Kosher Pigskin, the #1 podcast in Israel. I'm sure this is definitely a first for you. Maybe the farthest geographically you've done something like this. How's everything going, man?
This is the furthest geographically, not the first international show, but hey, man, it's always good. You hit international status, you're doing something right.
Yeah, for sure. I've been following you for a while on the Kosher Pigskin page. First of all, I see you're a Mets fan. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a Yankees fan. But I have some of my best friends are Mets fans, so they'll be happy to watch this.
Well, let them know. So like this isn't the Mets logo, it's the Mets logo, but I just got Mobb Deep put over top of one of my favorite hip hop groups. So got two favorites merged into one.
I like that. Yeah, I mean we're not here to talk baseball, but I mean I have no problem with the Mets. My Mets fan friends hate the Yankees, but I never hated the Mets. I'm always rooting for the New York teams. Yeah, so look, nationally, let's be straight. Nationally, there isn't much coverage of the Titans. I think on the schedule there are 0 primetime games. You'll correct me. Right. What are the overall vibes that you've gotten closing out the training camp and preseason and heading into the season?
Yeah, the overall vibe is a lot of promise, and that's understandable with Cameron Ward being the quarterback. That's the main thing, but it's all about buzzwords that they're pushing out there. Patience, stability. Those are the biggest ones. And they want to go ahead and build this over the long haul. So this way it's stronger, right? And I think that's what they're looking to do. You got the background of Green Bay Packers, which have Brinker. You got Mike Borgonzi with the Chiefs background. What they've seen is teams put it together over time. And then when they get the quarterback, that really sets things up. And that's what they believe they have here in Nashville.
Right, 100%. I agree. I mean, we spoke before we went on the air about the Bengals, and I definitely I see a lot of comparison there, especially I mean with Brian Callahan in as your head coach, second year over there. We'll talk about him soon, but you know, he was there for Joe Burrow, he was there for Peyton Manning, and we saw what kind of what culture shift one quarterback made for an entire franchise, and I can definitely see that. And I do want to talk about Cam Ward right now. So I don't think in the last 10 years there's been a quarterback, a number one overall quarterback, who's been talked about less. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to speak to you. But you've seen him every day right now during the summer. What are some of the impressions you've gotten into going into the season? You know, as a leader, as a passer, accuracy, the arm strength. What have you seen?
Yeah, I mean, there's no flash with him. He's just a football player. He's a quarterback, and that's it, you know. But he does have personality. You saw the scuffle he had with Jeffrey Simmons. But bigger than that, just the respect that he earned from Jeffrey Simmons. This offense is already gathering around him. I mean, you look at the Tuesday practice a couple weeks ago against Atlanta, the joint practice, they had a bad day. He gathered the offense together, and there's a picture of him standing over top of all the guys. Like, they're on one knee, and he's standing up, and he's talking to them. And I think that right there encapsulates his leadership, the way he's taken hold of it already. So you have that. You have he's been inconsistent in camp. I mean, I'll be honest about that. There are times where you're like, wow, I see the arm talent. And there's other times where like, you probably want to get that back. But it's practice. And during practice, that's when you tend to try different things and maybe see what you could get away with, like walk toe the line a little bit. And you could tell he's doing that. There's still progress that he has to make. I'm not going to say right now he's ready to start against the Broncos, but that's something to work towards. There's still a week and a half or so to get that out. And I think that's really going to be the ideal part of it, his ongoing development and how they could get him right.
Yeah, making mistakes, I totally agree. I mean, that's part of the process. I mean, even veteran quarterbacks make mistakes, and it's all about how you learn. And that's kind of also something I wanted to ask you about, was how much have you been around Cam outside practice, and what have you seen from him? I got to be honest with you, okay? Maybe I said this on my podcast earlier. Maybe I'm crazy. Call me crazy. I'm getting Michael Jordan vibes from this guy. I mean, obviously, I'm not comparing him to Michael Jordan, but he gives me this vibe of this guy. I mean, there's this you were for sure there at this press conference with him, where he was saying he wakes up at 5 a.m. because his dad, you know, did that when he was working in the job he didn't like. So he's working in the job he likes. Of course, he's gonna wake up at 5 a.m. And then he went on and then he spoke about his receivers, and just overall, I'm just getting some kind of vibe from him that people are sleeping on, I think. And I'd like to hear from you. What do you think?
There's definitely a confidence that, you know, it comes off of him, and you can't help but absorb it just in how he talks. As you mentioned, talking about the receiver, he called that group. He said they are a top 5 receiver core. He said that offense, the one that averaged 18 points a game last year, is a top 10, can be a top 10 offense. And when he said that, it was with purpose. And he talked about how they got to believe that. And if they don't believe that, then they can't go out and do the things that they need to do. So I think when you look at him, he talks well beyond his age, right? He's 23 years old, but I think he talks like a guy that's been in the league for a while. And that's just a credit to the people that he's worked with, you know, Daryl Colbert, his dad, you know, the coaching staff in Miami, Randy Shannon, and, you know, go on, the Washington State and Incarnate Word. I think it's just really a testament of the people who put their hands on him.
Yeah, so I want to talk to you soon a little bit about fantasy football and just get a little bit more insight because we do have a lot of fantasy football on this podcast here in Israel. But first, I want to ask you about the offensive line, which I think they put a very strong emphasis. I mean, it looks on paper like they put a very strong emphasis on this during the offseason. They gave Dan Moore a big contract. They gave Kevin Zeitler at guard, who I know from Cincinnati back in the day. J.C. Latham, I think they're moving him to right tackle. Peter Skoronski on the other side at guard, former first rounder, and Lloyd Cushenberry. How did those guys look during these last 2-3 months protecting Cam Ward?
Well, Cushenberry has been out for the most part. He did get back into practice. He did some team period, individual period first, and it was kind of a ramp up. And I think Cushenberry is going to be Cushenberry. He's a former Bronco, so you weren't going to tell me that he wasn't going to be available for that opener. I believe that. But then you look at the other guys. Skoronski just has gradually gotten better. I did an interview with him. It's on my X feed, and you could see that it's a few weeks ago. But I think when you look at him, he finished off strong, and he carried that momentum into this year. Zeitler is just an anchor, and he's someone that's going to help J.C. Latham, who flipped from left to right, and I think that right side is going to be strong. You have two guys there that are, man, they're horses. You could get behind them. But then even just the veteran part of it, the way he explained some of the things to Latham that Latham didn't know. There's different stunts and different things that are going to happen, and you got to know, okay, if he shoots here, I need you to pass him and go. Like, there's different communications, and they had a couple of incidents, and Zeitler, talked to him, and Latham said it was a learning experience. So you got those guys. Daniel Moore, to me, is the key. That was the big free agent signing, the left tackle. So he's going to play that position. And when you get an athlete that pairs with the details that Bill Callahan brings, I think it could be a good thing. He loves it. He feels he's better. So I think the offensive line is going to be a strong suit.
Yeah, Zeitler definitely brings that veteran experience, being part of the best lines in the league, going back to the Bengals, Ravens, and Lions recently. But like I said, we do a lot of fantasy football. I don't know how much you're involved. I don't know how much you play. I don't know if you're allowed to play on ESPN. But it's something that can't be ignored today. And at the end of the day, even we see a lot of NFL players embracing the fantasy football community. So I'd like to talk to you about the receivers, the receiving core around Cam Ward. A few weeks ago, like you said, we heard Cam Ward calling his core top 5 in the league. Very confident by him, of course. But what have you seen from those guys? We know obviously Calvin Ridley is going to be the one. I love Calvin Ridley this year. I don't know again how much you know about fantasy, but he's fairly cheap. We're seeing Tyler Lockett at the 2 and the veteran Van Jefferson. What is this group right now?
Yeah, I think Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard, to me, are the guys. I know you said receivers, but I wanted to put Pollard in there because he's got the potential to get 1,000 yards, especially with Tyjae Spears being out probably the first couple weeks or so. But you go to Ridley, and just the way he's been the comfort blanket for Cameron Ward, you've already seen it. I think he's a guy that, mid rounds, late, your wide receiver 3 or 4 that you could start on a bad matchup day for your 1 or 2. I think he'll be ideal to have. And you never know when he's going to have that breakout game. He's a threat always for 100 yards because he's going to get he's a big play receiver. So, yeah, he's the one I would pick out of receiver.
Do you have any idea where Cam Ward's going right now in fantasy?
Where he's going draft-wise?
Yeah, like quarterback. What number quarterback is going?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know. I haven't checked with the trends and all of that.
Yeah, he's going quarterback 27 right now.
27.
So, yeah, I've been recommending a lot of people on my podcast to take him. Obviously, not as their starter, but as a backup. I think there's really, really a lot of upside for him. It might take some time. Might take a few weeks for him to get going, but I definitely see the upside when it comes to
a deep sleeper, though, in the pass catcher group, Gunnar Helm, the tight end out of Texas. I think he might have a lot of touchdowns because he's someone that is able to use his body and get position. He's wonderful at finding the spots in zone, too. So he's someone that could be a red zone option and get you those touchdowns.
That's interesting. So there's another receiver I wanted to talk to you about that's getting a lot of hype, at least in where I'm seeing. You'll tell me if I'm correct, especially like I said in the fantasy world, and especially after last weekend, and that's Elik Ioumanor. So first of all, You have to correct me if I'm saying his name correctly. I've been saying it like that on the podcast. I've been saying he should do. Yeah,
Elik
Iomano. Okay, so I've been saying
Yeah.
Elik Iomnor. I even said he should do a Menor ad and get some of that. But Iomnor. Okay, we gotta get that right.
And it's Elik.
Yeah. Do you see this guy finishing as a number 2 receiver on the team by the end of the year?
I don't know about number 2. I think he eventually takes over as the starting X. Yes, but I think Lockett, Helm, they're going to be the number 2 receiver as far as the hierarchy of targets. But Iomnor is another deep play receiver. He's also a guy that'll work those mid-range in-breaking routes, and think Drake London light as far as like the usage of Drake London. I think that's how he's going to be used. Obviously not the same amount of targets and quality of targets, but along those lines.
Right. Okay, so the defense last year was, I think, not bad at all. I think a lot of people don't give him enough credit. And overall, what have you seen going into year 2 under Denard Wilson?
Big effort on coordinated pass rush, trying to make sure the guys on the outside, they don't run too deep and allow that passing lane, but they want to get deep enough to force the quarterback to step up. And that goes right in hand with the interior push that they want to make sure they get T'Vondre Sweat, Jeffrey Simmons. So I think it should be better. I don't know what they're going to do sack-wise as far as who's going to be the guy on third down and need to get the quarterback type. I don't know who that's going to be, so we'll see. The linebackers, I think, are going to be good. You see a lot of blitzing coming from them. You saw Cedric Gray in the Falcons game get the sack. He ran through the running back. James Williams is active. Cody Barton, very, very heady. So I think they're going to be solid there. Secondary, there's still some question marks. L'Jarius Sneed as a leader, like that's going to naturally warrant question marks just because of his status last year. But I think they could be solid there. I think overall it should be a pretty good defense.
Right. The next thing I was going to ask you was actually about L'Jarius Sneed. If you have any updates on him, how has he looked in camp in terms of the injury that he suffered last year?
Yeah, he said the quad is something that's behind him. That's not the issue. Going forward is just maintenance as far as the knees are concerned. The most recent procedure he had was a knee cleanup. So that's why he wasn't available for OTAs and minicamp, but he's back now. He told me conditioning. That's the main thing to get back to the player that he could be. He has to get that conditioning right. You can never recreate game situations, right? Practice, you could kind of mock it, but you can't recreate it truly. So with that first game being in Denver too, where the altitude and everything, that's going to be a pretty interesting mix of seeing how he's able to hold up because it's a very trying situation going out there.
Yeah, for sure. So who are some of the X factors to this team in general going into 2025? And also in terms of fantasy, I mean, you already gave us the tight end. I already forgot his name, so I need that name again.
Gunnar Helm.
Gunnar Helm. Okay, we'll remember that. So who are some X factors on this team in general, both offense or defense? And who's really impressed you so far? If it's Gunnar Helm, then it's Gunnar Helm. If there's anyone else that may be flying under the radar a little bit.
Look, Gunnar Helm or whoever emerges as that second option is an X factor. Calvin Ridley's an X factor. Tony Pollard, the offensive line. Cam Ward, I think those are a few. Chig Okonkwo, getting that free yards, right, catching the ball and getting the yak. He does that really well. Defensively, Jeffrey Simmons, it starts with him, but I would keep an eye on some of the guys like Femi Oladejo, how he develops. The linebacker, Cody Barton. I think the safeties too, because you're going to see once Kevin Winston Jr. from Penn State, once he gets healthy and is back out there not dealing with soreness, a lot of 3 safety sets, and he's someone that can match up against tight ends. So that's like 6 guys for you.
Right. Yeah, I really like the Tony Pollard and the Chig because a lot of times rookie quarterbacks, they tend to, like in a good way, they tend to dump the ball off, take that safety blanket and Chig up the middle and Tony for the dump off in the yak after. Definitely interesting choices over there. What are some of the realistic expectations from the Titans for this year, and where do you see their ceiling and where do you see their floor maybe?
Yeah, I think the ceiling 7 wins, the floor probably 4 to 5, right? And I think, you know, they could get to that 5 to 6 win area. That's nearly doubling, if not doubling, the 3 wins they had last year, which to me is pretty good progress considering where this roster was. And that's what really factored into Brian Callahan being back anyway. They looked at the roster and like, yeah, he didn't get much to cook with. So
yeah.
He gets another chance.
Definitely want to see that improvement for sure, and you don't want to get into a
and it's
where
incremental improvement. You know, the day to day, as that loud car goes by, the day to day is really where they're monitoring him and they're looking for progress there.
Right, for sure. What do you want to see from Cam Ward in year 1?
From Cameron Ward, or did you say everybody?
Cam Ward, sorry. Cameron Ward.
Yeah, I would like to see him approach that 4,000-yard plateau. I most importantly think he has to find a way to limit the interceptions. He's not a high interception quarterback anyway, but I mean, a rookie in a league like this, you may tend to do some things that you didn't do before. So it's really just progress and just showing that, hey, you know what, I am the guy that this process has to revolve around, and here's why. That's the main thing for me.
Yeah. One of the things that I really like about Cam Ward, and I think it might be a bit of an underrated part of his game, is his accuracy. And we see rookie quarterbacks that are accurate. They tend to, again, going back to Joe Burrow and the Bengals, probably the most accurate quarterback in the league. We see that the rookies that come with the accuracy, they usually succeed. They usually get into things quite quickly and have a lot of success in the league. And yeah, so I think that's it. Go follow TERRON on all platforms for inside information on the Tennessee Titans and what could be a very, very bright future for this team. Look, in Israel, we don't have a lot of Titans fans. We have football. NFL is growing. We haven't seen a lot of Titans fans, so I really hope. I'm rooting for the Titans. I love the Titans. My dad was a Titans fan growing up, Titans and Jets. He was a Titans fan growing up. Yeah, he's from New York, but he was a Houston Oilers fan. And
nice.
Yeah, and I'd love to see them succeed, and hopefully the fan base in Israel can get more attached to what's going on in Tennessee. And yeah, good luck. Thank you so much, man.
All right, for sure. Appreciate you, man.
Ciao.